Hello, once again. This is a homily for the 18th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And as you know, all of these are to teach us how to literally set our minds in order so that we are organized and focused on what is important. And today we are told very bluntly, thus it will be for all who store up treasure for themselves and are not rich in what matters to God. That is the end of the gospel reading, and it summarizes everything that we're going through today. The whole point is, am I working for myself or am I working for the coming of the kingdom? If I'm working for the coming of the kingdom, then a lot of other things will fall into place. It's not like everybody starves around me because I'm working for the kingdom. But what happens is we get a priority list so that we know what is important and what is not important. Now, if we go to the very first reading from Ecclesiastes, this is a very late book. This is maybe 150 years before Christ. And it was used a lot as a way of explaining to people the basic values of religion, because although it was written in the Judaic period, it was written in about the relationship to God, and so it fits in beautifully here. It talks about the one who labors with wisdom, and yet he must leave property to another who has not labored over it. This is also vanity and a great misfortune. What profit comes from all the toil and anxiety from which someone has to feel labored under the sun? Even at night, his mind is not at rest. This also is vanity. In other words, we're having it explained to us in really blunt terms that our priorities are going to be what moves us forward, but they're also going to reshape how we are, what we are experiencing right now. I've had people come to me who cannot sleep, and I tell them, meditate for 20 minutes, about half an hour before you go to bed, and you will be able to sleep. It takes 3 or 4 days to start working, but that is the point. What am I focusing on? If I meditate, let's say take a psalm and so on, then I will be cool, recollected, calm. When I want to go to sleep, I'll go to sleep, and that will work so that I don't have sleepless nights, because, as you know, that is most unpleasant. The psalm says, if today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Another point in this mental perspective that we're developing here is that we are listening to what God may be pushing into our lives. And it could be something silly like some slogan off the radio that just sets our minds off in terms of what God wants. Or it can be something terribly dramatic like losing somebody through cancer or whatever, and being motivated and focused because of that sad event. There's a lot more here, of course, but the whole point is teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain wisdom of heart. Wisdom of heart is this world perspective that we are developing. We're literally being coached in it day by day. And as we get coached in it, then we start to appreciate that God wants me to do this and avoid focusing on that, and so on. Moving on to the second reading, Paul writing to the community at Colossae, he says, if you were raised with Christ, seek what is above. He means quite simply, really, if you are baptized, why are you focusing on that and not on Christ? If you focus on Christ, other things get organized and sorted. But if you stay with Christ as the center of your focus, the kinds of things you focus on will be very different. Put to death then the parts of you that are earthly, immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and the greed that is idolatry. Stop lying to one another. Well, there's a good instruction for living in the United States right now. Uh, since you have taken off the old self with its practices, all of which are immoral in some sense, and put on the new self, which is being renewed for knowledge in the image of its creator. As we gain more knowledge in our interaction with God, we are being remade, and there is the ultimate focus. We are becoming part of the new creation. There's a lot more again here, but let's go to the gospel. And Jesus, first of all, has to deal with a fight between two brothers who are fighting over an inheritance. And he says, look, who appointed me to judge? And he says then, take care to God. He's talking now to the whole crowd. Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions. In a possession-obsessed world that we live in, this is a very tough thing to deal with, because we might even value ourselves according to our possessions. And yet we know enough people who have everything who make complete fools of themselves. He tells them then a parable, and this is the parable of the rich man who thinks he's got everything, and I'm set. I don't have to worry anymore. Eat, drink, and be merry. There's the saying that has been passed around the culture since the time of Christ. However, the problem is, God says this night your life will be demanded of you. And then what are your possessions worth? Truly, we don't know at the time of our death. We are not uh, able to imagine it, postpone it, whatever. But if we are living this world, in the sense of building a perspective, God's perspective on the world, then we've got something that is truly a possession. That will help us always, right to the end of our lives. Have a great day.